Yo, what's outside is within. The mind regulates the hand that masters the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword, but the tongue is mightier still. The stargate to the mind's revealed, the vortex.
What do you believe is the significance of Black History Month in promoting cultural awareness and understanding?
It's so sad that our history has been omitted from mainstream history. And that's where the significance comes in. If we've played such a central role in the development of humankind from day one, all our efforts in regards to, the fight against discrimination and racism, the people that have been at the forefront of that, whether in any country, in England, America, Australia, wherever it is, Africa, there's a real need for our history to be out there in the ears and eyes and minds of all people, so that you understand that we're relevant. There's been this label put on us as being inferior, when you look in history, we've been superior. So if you have this thing in your mind that we're inferior because of a lack of knowledge and understanding of our history, you're going to be in quite a dark place, interacting with everyone, So for you to have an understanding that our history is great, and it's been omitted out of mainstream history, you need to put yourself in a place where you access that, and and have some ideas that the contributions that have been made by these people, and because there are forces that kept it out of mainstream history, there definitely needs to be something that acknowledges our history. And it's happened, and some people will get upset. There'll be racists out there that get upset about Black History Month. Why isn't there Chinese History Month? Why isn't there Turkish History Month? Why there isn't this? But our contributions have been so significant that how could you not have us in mainstream history?
That's right.
So
how does Black History Month contribute to the representation and recognition of the achievements and contributions of Black individuals in history?
Well, what's great about it, whether you like it or not, in education and in certain sectors, you have to promote it. You have to, and it's quite upsetting because usually at the forefront of promoting it or doing anything, especially in education, is that Black person. So in any school or whatever, it's that Black head of behaviour, that Black head of year, or whoever that's at the forefront. And really, it's like this. If you want real reggae music, you might want Jamaican artists. If you want a real insight into Black history, you might want someone Black at the forefront of that has the knowledge. So for me, attaining a great insight into our culture and history through education and through different sectors, because there's a lot of people at this time of the month that actually learn something from Black History Month. Every year, a little bit of information comes out that sort of you get into your mind, and then next year you find something else out, then the following year and it all builds up. So I think it's great in that sense, especially for people that aren't reading Black history or don't feel the need to read Black history for whatever reason.
In what ways can Black History Month help address systemic erasure and misrepresentation of Black history in educational curricula and societal narratives?
Well, it shows that we've got great academics. We have, some of the greatest thinkers in all areas of existence. So whether it's authors, musicians, whether it's scientists, etc. You know, you start finding out that black people are great in all areas. And the innovators and the originators of a lot of the things that exist today that we use.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's you know, I get quite emotional when I start thinking about our history, Black History Month, and to some extent, some people think it's, you know, people are taking a mickey just having a month. But for me, it's better than nothing.
Yes, I agree. I agree, because like there was something you said earlier on, but I just wanted to jump off of that. It's like those little drips of this month for a person who's not really into it, and when it comes to this month, and then I wouldn't say you're bombarded with it, but you're given the access now. You're on your phone, you're scrolling, and you come across something. You say, "Oh wow, I didn't know that." That little drip could spark something in them. So I think it is imperative for. I think things are set for your level of knowledge in this stuff. You've got some people that are really knowledgeable within Black history, and they'll go into the depths and the catacombs, and they'll do more research and further themselves. And there's some people who just don't have a clue.
Yeah.
So it's about where you're at. But how can the celebration of Black History Month empower Black individuals and communities to embrace their heritage, identity, and resilience?
Well, it's the information that comes in regards to it, you know, whether it's the Harriet Tubmans, the Sojourner Truths, the Nat Turners, who's a controversial entity, the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, or whatever. Those people there that fought the good fight for us to be in this position now, that eliminated segregation, that contributed towards us being on more of a, we're not on a level playing field, but moving towards that. You know, having an understanding of those people and the greatness in them, the resilience in them, the drive in them to move forward through, you know, it's like swimming through a swimming pool with glass and mud and where you can't get through, but the hardship that they had to go through to try and get us to a point where there's some sort of level of equality or equity in any, you know, getting those, understanding what those people went through, especially if you start tapping into their stories and their life stories.
Yeah.
That'll do so much for you in regards to giving you a drive in everyday life, especially in regards to the hardships you face every day. Because if we go back, I was born in 1969. Now, before that, the hardships Black people were facing were immense. And for me, we don't face those hardships now. But whatever hardships you face now, if you've got an idea of the hardships that those great people faced, that can instill something in you to get through your hardships today.
I totally agree, brother. As a Black history teacher, how do you incorporate Black History Month into your curriculum to educate students about the diverse and impactful history of Black people?
You know, it's always good in any educational setting when you've got a head teacher that will allow you to do what you want, you know, and have the faith in you to know that you're the guy or the lady that can do that. You know, a lot of times in educational institutions, that's the main factor. You know, there are head teachers out there that are busy with other things, so Black history isn't at the forefront. There are head teachers out there that may do it just as an exercise, like, all right, we got to do Black History Month. And there are other head teachers out there that are fully invested in you know, you delivering whatever you want. But it's really down to the institution,
right?
Because no one controls anything apart from the head,
Right.
you know. So unless that head is fully immersed in presenting something really great, you're hitting a brick wall. You can hit a brick wall. So, you know, unless you have black head teachers. What I've learnt about education, the only way you can dictate what's going to happen is if you become a head teacher.
Right, I hear you. Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't do anything.
It's gravitating to positions of power, really,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. I guess that's in all scenarios. It's like, you know, being like a mayor or, you know, a member of parliament, or if you want to, you know, inject real change, you're going to have to maneuver to those positions of power.
You know, when I first started teaching black history and looking at, say, Tarseti or Nubia, and, you know, from 5,900 BC, and the finding of a incense burner in the city of Cristal, giving it that date, and looking at Axiom and Zoscales and Zana, those kings, and moving on to Monomatapa and the Great Zimbabwe, and the Swahili Confederation, and Oyo and Benin and Yoruba, and all the great civilizations. I was given free reign to be able to teach whatever I wanted to teach.
Wow.
You know, not everyone's given that opportunity.
No, not at all.
And that's where the barriers come up. If you're not given the opportunity by your head teacher, then what can you do?
Because I'm just reflecting, when I was in school, yeah, and they was teaching black history, the only thing I remember them talking to us was about slaves and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And I remember I got kicked out of the class because I highlighted that. I was saying, like, well, you know, why are we learning just this when there's so much other, you're disrupting the class, you know, come out of the class. So, how can Black History Month serve as a platform for highlighting the ongoing struggles, triumphs, and resilience of the black community?
So really, I mean, a lot's done nowadays. I mean, Black History Month started, well, Negro History Week started in 1926 with Carter G. Woodson.
Okay.
1976, Gerald R. Ford sort of promoted Black History Month, I think, if I get if my memory serves me. And then I think it was Akayaba Sebo, the Ghanaian activist, that was a huge influence in it being pushed in England in 1987. Those people have done the groundwork, but it's down for everyone else to do their work in it. So, you know, some people haven't got time for Black History Month. But if you've got time for it, I mean, TV, there's a lot of stuff on TV, a lot of stuff on social media, but you've also got to play your role in promoting it.
Yeah.
You can't just let everyone else do it. If you're a person of a certain origin, a certain culture, why aren't you celebrating Black History Month to the fullest extent? I don't understand that. You know, it hurts me in my heart that a lot of black people seem to be resting on their laurels a bit when it comes to our culture and our history. But again, like I said, we live in different times, and capitalism and materialism and consumerism play a big role in sort of diverting people from what's important to them and their families.
Yeah. Interesting question for you. In your work as a therapist, how do you see the celebration of Black History Month positively impacting the mental health and well-being of black individuals?
Mentally Klein, some people know about mentally Klein, some people know about the paranoid schizoid position and the depressive position. Now, there is literature that talks about splitting, and I'll break it down basically. So, when you're born, this is theoretical stuff from mentally Klein. When you're born and you think you're going to die, basically. You come out into the world, you feel persecuted, everything's weird and you know, terrible for you. This is me breaking it down on layman's terms. So you come out now, and your mum's feeding you. So when the mum's breast is there, you're feeling good. That's a good breast. When mum's breast not there, that's the bad breast. So you're crying, you're feeling anxiety, like, I'm gonna die. Now, to make sense of that, you sort of split into good and bad. That's it. That's where it comes from, good and bad breast. But now, for us, there's this, what we have in regards to good and bad as we get older is superiority and inferiority. Yeah, goes with good and bad, black and white. So society is already, even though we're growing up, maybe within, using that defense mechanism of splitting and being in the paranoid schizoid position, we're indoctrinated in society in a certain way, where inferiority is pushed, and we have that inside of us. Okay. So we're on the back foot quite a lot of the time, because all the messages in society are that black are bad, black's dysfunctional, black parents can't look after their children, black gangsterism, So you're already in this place and you're getting fed those messages consistently.
Yes.
If you've got something positive on the other hand that can eradicate what's already there through Black History Month, it'll contribute significantly. And I keep on saying it in regards to your own self-esteem and self-identity. I'm not inferior. I'm not lacking. I can achieve. I am great. I am a king. I am a queen. And those feelings, once they start sort of resonating inside of you, you can start operating in a particular manner that will benefit you. So I think in regards to theory and your mind and black people, I mean, it's like transgenerational trauma. We've been affected from such a long time ago, and our practices, the way we had to adapt socially to survive, has stayed with us.
That's right.
And we still have got a lot to fix within us as people.
Yeah. I feel that, man. What role does Black History Month play in fostering intercultural dialogue, empathy and solidarity amongst people of diverse backgrounds?
Whether it's William Wilberforce, whether it's Granville Sharp, whether it's, like I mentioned earlier, Ronnie Laslett, there's been so many people that have contributed to the abolition of slavery, contributed to like the carnival and other things that people don't know about. But you need to be reading the history to be able to understand that there were contributions beyond black people in the abolition of slavery and the moving forward of black people.
Yes.
So if you start reading, it's like John Brown. When I found out about John Brown in the early days, when I started reading about black history and found out about John Brown, a man that went all out in America for black people. In the end, he got done. He got hung or whatever. He went to shut down some, I think, ammunitions place or some place, and he called for black people to come. But they were paro. They thought, all right, this white man, we don't know about him. And he went down there. I think his sons went with him. They went to do this thing. They got captured and killed. But there's a lot of white people that have gone all out in support of the black cause.
Right.
So if you're reading, the history, you'll be pleasantly surprised to understand that there was a lot of white people that contributed to us being in a better place today.
How can the recognition and celebration of Black History Month contribute to combating racial stereotypes, prejudice and discrimination?
Our greatness. A lot of people think that we've done nothing. Whether it's science, astronomy, geometry, paper writing, calendar, the construction of the calendar. There's so many things, whether it's going into space, contributing to mathematics. I mean, when I say going into space, it's like, what's that film? Something Figures. I can't remember the lady, the name. There was a mathematician, a lady that dealt with space. Something Figures. Anyway, whether it's the making ice cream, the traffic lights, or whatever. People, once they get to understand the history, the inventors, It reminds me of Carter G. Woodson.
Right.
But once you have an understanding of our contributions worldwide to some really significant inventions, and significance in music, there's one Latino was a slave that was in Spain. He ended up became a professor of Latin, rhetoric and something else. And he made 3 volumes of some Latin verse or something. But unless you know the history, you don't know about that guy. Malik Amber was another slave that became really prominent to sort of presidential status in India, another
Right.
black slave. So there's a lot of black people, if you're looking into the history, and they're quite obscure.
Yeah.
You know, you'll see how many black people played a significant role in the development of certain places or the development of literature, music, etc.
Yeah.
That are unknown but really significant anyway. So, you know, once Black History Month, Black History Month on the surface is one thing, but once you dig beneath, you'll see a lot more.
Yes. For real. In your experience, what are some of the most powerful or transformative moments that have emerged from commemorating Black History Month in educational and therapeutic settings?
I think just the celebration of Black History Month in educational settings is a big thing. You know, to identify significant moments for me at the moment, right here, right now, I can't. I'd have to think about them really, really closely. I think Black History Month just being in all schools and being celebrated amongst all cultures, whether you're the Muslim child in there, the Albanian child in there, the Lithuanian child or whatever, and being part of that. And what I like nowadays is that for young people, even though racism still exists, for a person like me that works in schools, I've got at the moment one student that's from Poland and one Black Jamaican young student that are like that. Yeah, nothing can separate them. So even the young Polish student, Black History Month coming and there being a celebration, he's embracing it. I mean, for me, young people of other cultures, that's really significant for me. Them embracing our culture to the extent where I might say to a student, "What are you having for dinner tonight?" They go, "I'm having jerk chicken, sir." You know what I mean? So it spun things on its head a little bit.
Yeah.
When you got children at home, and I know it can be distressing for some families, not of our culture, when they're playing certain music at home, black music. I mean, I had a young student in my office the other day who is Bulgarian. So I said to him, you know, I'm going to do some work here. He got in trouble and he was in my office. So I'm going to do some work here. But while I'm working, you're going to listen to some of my old hip-hop tunes. So I started playing it and he started rocking his head. He was going, "Yes, sir. It's like, you know, I like Ice Cube." I said, "What do you mean you like Ice Cube?" I go, how? He goes, "I like NWA from my dad." So I was like, okay, you know, and this Bulgarian boy, he's tapped into our culture. When Black History Month is here, he's loving it, he's enjoying it. So, I mean, that's really significant for me, just how it permeates all cultures through education and being in a setting. Therapeutically, that's a hard one. It depends on how you feel about yourself, you feel about our history, how you see yourself in regards to being a black person, and how you see yourself in society.
Yeah.
You know, it's nowadays blackness to a certain extent is being diluted. There's a loss of identity and a loss of culture. There's a lot of black people out there at the moment, younger black people, that are moving away from, you'll ask them about something, "Do you know what bami is? Do you know what this is?" Whatever food. They don't know what you're talking about. I'm not even Jamaican, yeah? But I've got a lot of Jamaican brethren. So I know about all kinds of food, whether you're talking about South from Barbados, whether you're talking about pepper pot from Guyana, wherever you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or roti from my own country. I know a lot, but a lot of young black people nowadays, they haven't got a clue.
Not tapped in at
No.
all.
And that's what I'm scared about. And that's why I said previously, it all starts at home. If you're not teaching your children our history and our culture on a certain level, it will go.
Lost and forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling now at the moment. It may sound funny to some extent, and I started a while back, and I've slipped off. Where my mum was teaching me how to make roti. Yeah, I've slipped off for a while, but I'll go back to my mum because I'm mindful. My mum passes on. That's lost in my family.
That's right.
You know, and certain traditions, certain foods or whatever aren't being passed on anymore. You know, and people rather go down the shop, go to Brown Eagle or wherever and buy their food, you know what I mean? When a lot of that should still be taking place at home.
Yo, what's outside is within. The mind regulates the hand that masters the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword, but the tongue is mightier still. The stargate to the mind's revealed. The vortex.